Darci's Corner, Part 3. If I get distracted, it's because this guy right here has decided he needs attention. And at any point in time, he might decide to freak out. At any rate, so I've talked about my childhood, and I talked about being a kid, I talked about being transgender, and I talked about finding religion, and how I kind of liked the religion that I found because it gave me structure and kind of told me, look, up till now, you've had lots of problems in life. And the reason you probably had lots of problems is you made bad decisions. You made bad decisions because you weren't following a blueprint of some sort. Now, that blueprint for me ended up being the Latter-day Saint religion. And it was a wild ride. I learned a lot about how to treat people and how you want people to treat you. And, of course, I have these general basic good values anyways. It was things like, treat others well and be kind and do service and love God and that sort of thing. Pray a lot. So those weren't like entirely foreign values to me or anything. I just hadn't really been sticking to them like I should be. And at the time that I found religion, I mean, like, I'd had one broken marriage. I was working on my second marriage, possibly broken or not, who knows. We've been together 17 years, married 17 years, 16 years, so it's worked out as well as it could, I guess. But yeah, so religion kind of gave me a roadmap and something to go on. Problem is, this dog is very, very fuzzy. And as I pet him, like, the hair just, Anyway. So, yeah, so religion comes along, and I try and follow religion, and I'm trans the whole time. I've had gender non-conforming thoughts, and all I'm told by these well-meaning young men who are teaching God's word is that God doesn't want you to do it, and so just try and resist, and God will make it easier for you as life goes on, or at least make it bearable or something. I don't know, but God was going to take care of it anyway. So I applied that as best I could. I applied that knowledge. I prayed to God. I tried to pray away the gay, as it were, or the trans. And when I was 30, I was 22 or 23 when I first discovered the church. When I was 30, I was still having gender non-conforming thoughts. And they came in the form of fantasies and other things. And I was trying to understand why. Like, why is that a thought in my head in the first place? I don't really know, but it's there a lot. And, like, sometimes in my mind, like, the idea of putting on a dress and lipstick again and walking around the mall just seemed like a good idea and something I should do all the time. And then a little bit later, that idea is freaking nuts. I'm going to be this freak, and I don't want to be a freak. And, like, what's going on? Why is this thought coming back to me over and over and over again? Or similar thoughts. And when they're there, I love them, and I want to embrace them fully. And when they go away, I have no idea where they went or why they were there in the first place. And why the heck would I ever want to do that? Why do I want to make a permanent decision for something that's fun for 10 minutes? Like, that's going to screw up my job and my marriage and my religion, and it's not going to be a good thing. So, I don't want to make a permanent decision based on a temporary thing. So, instead, what I did was, not instead, but I was trying to explore this, right? And so I Googled it. And what Google told me at that time was either I was a cross-dresser or I was a transgender. And I went, shut the front door. There's no way I'm a transgender. I don't want to be one. That's freaking nuts. Why would I want that? I very much enjoy being a guy. I like having my white male privilege. This is, I'm at the pinnacle of the North American heap. So why would I want to give that up, right? Not that life was easy; it never was. But like, it doesn't get easier if you're not that. So I knew that at the time. I'm like, oh, man, why do I want to do this? So I thought, well, maybe I'm just a cross-dresser. Maybe I just can get away with that once in a while. Now, at that time, we didn't have as good a language as we have now, or understanding of our sexualities and transgenderism in general. And so people were of the opinion that either you were in or you were out. And so when I went to a support group, I said, well, I just have these thoughts some of the time. I just want to be her once in a while. I don't want to be her all the time. I like being him sometimes. And they said, well, you're not one of us. You don't belong with us. And I was dressed like a dude at the time, but I also didn't want to look stupid. And so um, I went to the support group, and I wanted to go back, but they said, you can't come back. You're a tranny chaser, and we don't want you here. That's what they told me. You're not good enough to be one of us. Okay. So I did go to another meeting that was a cross-dresser meeting. They were very welcoming. They're like, you can come back anytime you want. You want to spend the night? Come on back. It'll be great. But they weren't an official group. They were just literally an old couple who would put together a community of cross-dressers and trans people who were learning what they were. But I didn't go back to that group because to do it, I'd have to lie to a whole bunch of people. I have to hide a whole bunch of things. And I hate living a lie. I hate hiding things. I like living with integrity. I got that from my religion. Live with integrity. Be who you say you are. Do what you say you're going to do. Those are the type of things that we're taught. And they took with me. Another thing that was taught that I'm taking, that's mine. I'm a child of God. Whatever else goes on, whatever else happens, I'm a child of God. I have a heavenly Father and I have a heavenly Mother, and there's nothing anybody can do to take that away from me. You can say you're out, you're excommunicated, you are no longer part of the faith. Guess what? He is still my father. She is still my mother. They still love me. I will always be a child of God, and there's nothing you can do about it. It's in your book. Don't take it up with me. I didn't write the book. You read your book. And no matter what way you shake it, I'm a child of God. So whether or not you approve of how I live my life is kind of irrelevant. And you can't say, well, God doesn't love transgender people. Of course he does. There's millions of us here. He sent us here. He's still our father. She's still our mother. Millions of us. Because it doesn't matter how good I live my life. Once I've declared that I'm trans, I'm no longer in the right camp. I am now violating a commandment that allows me to progress any farther in the church beyond the fact that I am a child of God. Now, whether I'm a son of God or a daughter of God, I don't know. If I'm made in his image, well, what about her image? How do you know God's gender orientation? You don't. You're not there. There's no possible way you could know that information. You just can't. Anyway, that's where I'm at today. So I'm transgender. I still love God. I believe God still loves me. I don't know what to do with that. Believe me, I've tried leaving several times, and it never really worked out for me. And I left for 6 months while I was transitioning. And I like who I am better when I'm around my church community. I strive to be a better person when I'm around them. They are a good influence on me in terms of making life decisions and trying to do what's right and caring about my neighbor. Right? Whatever my neighbor does or doesn't do, within my church group anyway, you're supposed to care about your neighbor. And I do. I did. I've built barns, I've mowed lawns, I've helped people move. I spent time with their children. I love their children like I love my child. I would never hurt their children or allow harm to come to their children if I knew of something going on. I wouldn't allow that to happen. So it's been very hard for me to give up my community. But I suspected that was a price I would have to pay to become her. I didn't want to pay that price. But I couldn't keep hiding who I was. I didn't want to lie to people. And I was miserable, and I was getting more miserable. My child-friendly explanation, when I talk to the children at my church now, and I do, is my entire life I've had girl thoughts and I've had boy thoughts. And as long as I kept those those girl thoughts hidden, I was very, very sad. Now that the girl thought's out, I'm not sad anymore. That's my child-friendly explanation for what I am and why I do what I do. Because these children, many of them I've known for years, and they've watched me as a priesthood holder, which I no longer am. And so some of them have questions for me, but they're not being rude. They're like, "You're a man in a dress. Why are you a man in a dress? Now the other men here are wearing dresses. Why are you doing this differently?" Right? That's the kind of questions that they ask. But they're children, and they're curious, and I don't blame them for asking questions. I am really happy that those children are not afraid of me. I'm really happy that it seems that the parents are not afraid of me, because they were letting their children crawl over me, and then the one mom was I had glittery nail polish that one day, and that one baby just loved my glitter, man. She thought I was pretty. But I was glad that the members of my branch anyways were very welcoming, and that their children were so curious about me, and that their parents were okay with that. I'm not trying to indoctrinate anybody. I'm not trying to tell them how religion is supposed to be or how it's supposed to raise their children. That's not my goal. I just wanted to spend time with them, the congregation, because those have been my people for like the last 15 years. So I miss my community. But if they won't accept me, if I can't be me around them, it's sad, but that's okay. Like, I'm willing to let them go. But I'm glad that it appears I didn't have to. I don't have to. So yeah, that's Darci's corner for today. I broke this up into 3 parts at least, because I can't watch long YouTube videos, and there once was a time when the YouTube video was a maximum 10 minutes long, and these are almost 15, which is long enough. Hopefully this helps educate people, and hopefully this helps move the ball forward. It helps me understand who was I supposed to tell, and when was I supposed to tell them, because I still don't have the answer to that question. If you have an answer to that question, please leave a comment below. I don't know that anybody's watching this, but I would love to know. In the 80s and 90s, who was I supposed to tell that I was trans? When was I supposed to tell them? Like, how is that supposed to work? Okay. Talk to y'all later.